I'm Katie Wells, host of the Maximized Minimalist Podcast. I escaped the hamster wheel of modern-day motherhood, overwhelmed by clutter and buried under the mental load. Now I live in a home that feels calm, manageable, and made for real life. I have margin in my days, energy for who matters most, and time for slow mornings and silly dance parties in the kitchen with my family. With over 5 million listens, the show has helped women around the world turn their homes into their happy place. Around here, we simplify for more peace, more presence, and more joy. We choose grace over guilt and progress over perfection. And we believe your home should give back more than it takes. I'm here to help you do the same. Come along with me and my guests as we share the real stories, habits, and strategies that help you lighten the load from the inside out. Pull up a seat, friend, and let's do this together. Ready, set, simplify. What is up, Simplifiers? We go through so many seasons in life. I'm only 37. I feel like I've had 8 billion different seasons in my life. Moving, starting a family, whether it's sending kids to elementary school, high school, college. Maybe you're in retirement age, and those seasons don't just bring change in our homes. They can also shake up our money. That can be from new expenses, new routines, all the things. And it's really no wonder stress around money can show up during those big transitions. So today I'm super stoked to bring on Vanessa and Shana to help me unpack what happens financially during these transitions and how we can find more peace and stability and, financial structure in the middle of it. So welcome to the Maximized Minimalist Show, ladies. So excited to have you.
Thank you for having us.
We're really, really excited. Thanks for having us. You're the Maximized Minimalists. We are the budget besties. We've got alliteration going on. It's all good things. It's all good things.
What next? So our tradition on the show with guests is we always kick off by asking this one question. Would love to hear both of your takes. And that question is, if you could magically declutter one thing from your life forever with no effort required, what would it be?
By far, it would be my son's bedroom. Can you do that? I mean, I guess he's moving out, so that I feel like I would lose this magic wish, but it's his bedroom. He is just a gifted musician, and he's just got stuff everywhere all the time. So if we could and I have to look at his room, and guests do too when they come because he has the guest bathroom. So that's my choice.
My first option was my garage, but I thought, well, once it's clean, it's going to be clean. And then I thought, and then when she said that, I was like, oh, my Tinkerbell, because I have my daughter. She has more things than Tinkerbell, I always tell her. So that would be a great option for me, for my life.
We would all get along so well.
I love it. Oh, great. Okay, so life transitions, as we said, always bring these new expenses, new routines. So I want to kick us off by asking, why do you think these transitions can create so much money stress for everyone out there?
One thing that comes to mind immediately is all of those things are stressful already, right? They're already stressful already. And most people are already stressed about money already. So let's add, and we say it all the time when we have clients come on, I'm like, oh, this is great that you're pregnant and you're moving and we're going to get on the budget all at the same time. What could go better? But truly it is, because they're both very stressful things. And then we just put them together. And then, of course, it's going to be, a little bit more difficult to figure out.
It's interesting when we get new clients come on, magically something happens, whether they're in a job transition, like she said, they're moving. And so we are forced immediately as coaches to dive into building all of this with them at the same time. And so trying to alleviate and show them that money is a tool. It's just a tool that we can use, and we don't have to use it as stress or feel like it's a stressor, but we like to show them how to set up systems to where everything is working for them so they can focus on the big thing. They can focus on whatever that life transition, that big situation that they're dealing with, knowing that all their money is being handled and they don't have to worry about it.
And I will just add to that, Katie, I was thinking, because Vanessa and I, we've been best friends since our boys were 4 and they're 17 now. So we've been through a lot of life transitions together. And I just think that as the mom, as women, you take the stress of whatever that transition is. You also carry the stress of your whole family, right? So you're carrying it for your kids. You're carrying some of that burden for your spouse. Maybe your pets, you're really helping. And I'm so serious. It sounds, kind of silly, but we are carrying the load of all of the emotional stress from any transition. And then always those transitions they're not cheap. None of those things are cheap. they're not just expensive, but they throw a wrench into your finances. So, and that's a whole nother thing to figure out. And like, let's just put it on the list, add it to the list to figure out, to work through, to get to, right? And so that's part of why it's also stressful.
When Shane and I were just talking about this yesterday, we absorb that. My daughter, for instance, she is in a situation right now, a life situation where she is taking on wanting to have straight A's, wanting to show up as team captain on her varsity volleyball team, wanting to be the best person she can, wanting to be the best friend, the best sister, the best daughter. Like that's who she is. She's a perfectionist, which it's also meaning she's up till midnight every night, up at 5 a.m. trying to get everything done. And I was up at 2 a.m. the other night texting her going, I can't do this for her. It's not even my life, and I am seeing how it's draining. And so we think about everything else that's going on in everyone's lives. And then not only do we have to deal with what's going on in our life, we're also taking on that burden for them. And so it is a lot.
Yeah, that's a good point too. As your kids are going through these different seasons, we totally absorb that. And, what comes to mind just offhand, my boys are almost 9 and 10 years old, that they have even had some, hyper chronic, short and chronic seasons where I really had to be all hands on deck. And typically when that happens for me is like my prefrontal cortex part of the brain goes off because I'm more stressed and maybe more nervous or anxious trying to walk them through this. And then emotional spending used to be my default. I've gotten so much better over the years, but do you think that flips a switch for some of us? It's seeking that distraction, or you also mentioned too, having systems in place to fall back on that are more autopilot versus having to think about that. So I guess that's a twofold question. Is that something you see often with your clients? And when it comes to practicality and those systems that we can put in place now to create more structure for ourselves through those life transitions, whether it's us or our kids or a partner, what does that look like for you?
Well, I think it's great that you brought that up, because while we're talking about some of the bigger life transitions, let's be really honest that there's not a very simple, uncomplicated day in our life, period. So while it might not be that we're moving or we're having a baby, we're having somebody come home from school and have a meltdown. And so what we have figured out, and we've been doing this for a while, what we really figured it out last summer is when it kind of was an epiphany. I had a client, her husband was diagnosed with cancer. And she missed a couple sessions, and she came in and said, I didn't have to worry about money at all. I didn't even have to worry about my budget because it was running automatically. And that's when we were like, yes, this is, we knew that, but we hadn't maybe really realized that. And that's what we want for women, because even if you're having a big life transition, or you just have a day, right? If you don't have to worry about your money, then if your systems are running it automatically, then that's what we want for you. We want you to be able to have that simplicity in your life.
When we started this system years ago, we've seen the positive effect on people's lives over and over again. But when you're in a situation like that, where your spouse is diagnosed with cancer and you have 3 kids, I want to say they were in the middle of, he was retiring, they were transitioning. There was
all the things.
There was a lot going on. And to know that she could be fully present and fully focused on what she had in her life, that finances were not a problem, because she knew, you hit it nail on the head, was the automation part. And that's what we're big on. Her bills were being paid. Her grocery account was being funded. Everything was being taken care of because of these systems that we initiated with her. And that was a huge aha moment, and that relief that we felt for her.
Oh, that is so touching. And what a relief. And I feel like she was able to verbalize that, because it's in those moments when you notice it most, right? And I felt that way in an opposite direction of when we had our car accident years ago, and I walked into my home and I was like, this is working against me. And it was my aha moment, right? And it can be either side of the coin, but in those moments we can also realize, oh my gosh, this is working. And what a blessing in these moments where we really feel the gratitude from that. So what are some systems? So a client comes into you, big life transition or not, they come into you and they need help with budgeting or systems. Where does one begin?
Well, I like what you said, and your story, is obviously helping so many people, and a lot of people are following in your footsteps. But, sometimes, or it's almost like you walk in your house and you realize this stuff owns me. Like this stuff owns me. It's using my time, my energy just to make it make sense,
just to be here.
And that's where we've kind of figured out with money, you'd have to be spending a lot of time dealing with money, thinking about money, tracking money. So that's where we came up with our system, which is to separate your accounts. So a lot of people have the same bank account that they had when they were 18. And we blow their mind when we tell them, you can have more than one account. You're allowed to. It's allowed. And so we have them, the first thing we have them do, Katie, is set up a separate account just for bills, right? And so that account, the only thing that's happening in there is paying bills.
Yeah. And if you can imagine having an account that all it does is pay bills, it's its only job. You have the money in there and you have everything on auto pay, and that's all you have to worry about in that account. Imagine knowing that your mortgage is paid, your electricity is paid, like all that is being taken care of and you don't have to worry about it. Okay. So that's what that one account does. The next thing we want you to do is open up that, like Shana said, that second checking account, which is for your spending. Now, we do recommend multiple checking accounts for spending. And here's why. I recently heard you talk about having goals at the beginning of the year. And what systems did you put into place to make those goals happen? Or how are you successful? And you can put words and numbers on paper and call it a budget. That's the end of that, right? What are we doing with it? How are we bringing it to life? And the systems that we have put into place, these multiple checking accounts, brings it to life. It tells your money exactly where to go. So your money comes into the bills account. Guess what? All your bills are being paid. From there, it goes out to a couple spending accounts, which are gas and groceries, dining out or restaurants. You and your personal money is you can go to Starbucks and have your pumpkin spice latte. And then, hey, guess what? Your kids always need field trip money, or they need that birthday present for their best friend that they have coming up next week that they forgot to tell you about. So if you have a couple of checking accounts set up to where your money is redirected automatically, then those account balances in those checking accounts become your budget. And it's a safeguard. It brings those guardrails around you. So that way you always know you have money and you know the exact amount that you can spend, knowing that your bills are still being taken care of.
Yeah, our budget is completely different than any budget that you'll ever see or that we ever saw. That's why we made it. We wanted to go use someone's budget to coach with, and we were like, none of these, they say fixed expense variable. We're like, oh, gross, boy word. Sorry. So we made ours as 5 columns. You have your income, you have your debt, you have bills, you have spending, and you have savings. And that is how people behave with their money. And that's why we designed the system to work with how we actually use money. So people get confused about bills. Well, groceries are a bill. No, that's actually spending money. You spend that money. And instead of tracking how much you spend, what we like, and your friend Bree kind of said it too, like, I don't need to go back and like think about all the things that I've done. I'm just going to start here and see what I'm doing going forward. And we love that too. So the idea is all of your income goes into your bills. And then let's say you have $1,000 budget for groceries. Maybe one transfer on the 1st and one transfer on the 15th is $500 that goes into your grocery account. And it's going to be based on your family and what you guys spend. The more crunchy you are, right? The more your grocery budget is. But and then you just have a grocery account that has $500 and you can go to the grocery store. And this was so big for me, Katie, when I had younger kids, because I would get to the end of the month and they still wanted to eat and they had no money and I had no food. And
everybody still has to be fed.
What am I going to do? So, and that's when you go to credit or you do some things that you don't really want to do, right? And so, but if you know I have $500, it's in the groceries. I'm not going to spend it on anything else. My bills are also getting paid. It's all separate. And then I don't have to track anything. I just have to keep, like Vanessa said, keep with that account balance. And all of this happens automatically.
Yeah.
You wake up on Saturday morning to go grocery shopping. The money's in there. You didn't have to do anything. And it's all according to your budget, what your goals were.
Yeah. Imagine waking up and having everything set up, ready to go. For instance, my husband gets paid Wednesday evenings, Thursday morning. All of my transfers happen based on his pay cycle. And I didn't do anything. I just have my debit card and I get to go spend it. And so one of the other things that we really harp on is we don't recommend or want you, or you don't even have time to track expenses. There are a lot of apps, and Brie alluded to this too, a lot of apps, a lot of things that want you to track. Well, congratulations, you now have graduated to an accountant or a bookkeeper. Like that is not, you don't have time for that. So we have set up these other accounts and all you get to do now is just go use your debit card and spend money out of those accounts. And that is your budget. That's the amount of money. And we tell people, I don't care how many times you enter the grocery store. That doesn't matter. Did you go over your budget? Hey, guess what? You can't, because it's a debit card, not a credit card, right? So it keeps you in line with the amount of money that you have said that you want to spend. Now, are you going to get it right at the beginning? No. If this is the first time, you're trying to do a budget, you have no idea how much money you normally spend at the grocery store. So it's going to take a little bit to tweak. But the point here is to put the right amount of money that feels good, that your budget allows for you to put into these accounts and spend freely throughout the month.
Oh my gosh. I love the automation of all this and the simplification, right?
Yeah.
And I also love how you framed it because, I mean, again, so many parallels with home stuff and clutter, right? Like guardrails. Like when we're driving on a highway, we don't look at a guardrail and we're like, this is so annoying. But this is our home. Our home is a guardrail. Like this is our physical limitation, right? And the budget, even though I do 100% agree there are people that just coach budgeting in a way that's not for me. It can feel like, oh, what? Like, I don't know. So I loved your take on that too, but it's to protect you. It's to ensure you are staying on the road towards the goal you want to go towards. So I think that's a perfect perspective to take.
Yeah. And it's what we were talking to our friend. It's like, on January 1st, everybody gets up and goes to the gym. And or maybe they don't, but that's the idea, right? And so on January 1st, you're going to set up your budget. The difference here is you don't have to go back to the gym January 2nd with your budget. If you set this up, it will stick to the goals that you set automatically. The only thing that will change is if you go and steal money from something, which again, it's a guardrail. We can't keep you from 100% being, doing what you're going to do, but it will. And we have seen, Katie, we have people that are spending. So I was listening to that about the overspending. We have a lot of people that come to us and they're like, I don't know how to, they self-sabotage really. And honestly, with the rest of the system we haven't gotten into, when they start to see money like working, they know where their money is going. They know they actually definitely have spending money every month or every 2 weeks. That it's not like, maybe I do, maybe I don't. They know automatically spending habits get better. It's crazy to see like people who have years of racking up credit or debt, it automatically gets better because they feel like they know what's going on with their money. They have those guardrails. They know where they're going. They know that, hey, I'm saving for this vacation automatically because we'll get to that. And I feel good about that. I feel so good about that. I don't feel the need to binge on Amazon or whatever. And so, yes, we love the automation. That's the most important thing. You can set your budget. You get your mindset. You get your mind right. You're doing you got your goals, and then you just set the system up and it does it for you. That's important. You can also rename accounts. You can hide accounts. You can order them in your bank the way you want them. Like there's so much that your bank can do for you to help you budget. Be a good budgeter.
That's what I was just going to say. People don't realize that we like to say, have your bank be your personal assistant. So you set your budget up and then you tell your bank what to do with the numbers that you came up with. And people don't realize that that's an option, that you can have these reoccurring transfers going in. And really, the only time you need to adjust it is if you have a big life transition or you get a raise or, we want you to be out of it and not touching it as much as possible because the more manual it is, the more you're gonna mess it up. It's fine. We love you, but we've seen it. I was the perfect example of this a couple of weeks ago. I was changing up my budget and I said, oh yeah, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to change my reoccurring transfers. Well, I had canceled them all. Katie, do you think I actually went back at 11 o'clock at night and put them back in correctly? No. So the next day I went grocery shopping and I swiped my card at the grocery store and it was like empty. And I was like, oh, I forgot to. I forgot to change. So again, the less you can do for yourself, the better off you're going to be. So we love the idea of setting up everything automatic.
When you have a client, let's just say we get all these things in place, the automations and systems. I love the bank as a personal assistant. I would like 2 of those, please.
And another one.
One for 100%. I just lost my question. Sorry.
I messed that up.
No, it's not your fault. It's probably just my age.
Oh, well, girl, I'm 37. Come on.
I mean, I don't know. Am I 42?
I'm not cutting any of this out, right? I hate cutting stuff out.
I don't even know my age. I'm
37. You're 4 years older than me. That's how we determine this.
Yes, you have to figure out I always ask my husband how old he is. Yeah, and then I figure out, reverse engineer it. I'm at the age where I have to do that. Okay. 42, there we go.
I'm sorry.
So, for all those transitions we can see coming down the pipeline, upcoming move, whatever happening, do you have like a set formula or 1, 2, 3, like add an extra X amount of dollars to your saving or checking for the U-Haul that's going to be more expensive than you think? Or do you kind of buffer in any way or tweak anything? Maybe not the systems you have set up, but some kind of in addition to?
Well, for each transition, whatever, one of these major life milestones, we would just have you set up a separate savings bucket. And it's really going to depend on what you need. So for example, we had a client that was getting out of the military, going on maternity leave. She had her business. She had her own business, very successful, but she was not going to be working it. So we just needed to set aside in that bucket enough to pay her the months of maternity leave that she was going to pay herself. You know what I mean? So that was her thing. When people move, we're going to say, guess how much it's going to cost and then double it. That's really what we're going to tell you, because
every time
it's not. And so, yeah, you're going to have your own separate savings bucket. You're going to set a budget that you think to your best guess. And then you're just going to fund that monthly until the moment happens. Yeah. And we think that you may not get it right, but it's going to be so much easier. Oh, I had to come up with $200 extra this month, or rather than 2,000 in 1 month, right? Because you've been saving for the whole thing. And then maybe you got it just slightly wrong, and you can create that extra in your budget that month.
Well, and I like what you said, if there's a transition that they know about ahead of time, because usually most of these we do. And so what we like to say in that aspect is those are 100% expected expenses. So just like Christmas, y'all, it's December 25th every year. Never changes. Like, it's not a surprise. It's not like Black Friday came and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it's November already. Okay.
I think Christmas is going to be 25th this year.
I think Christmas is in a month. Right. So what we want to do is plan ahead for those. And so just like you heard us say, we want you to have a couple of checking accounts. We also want you to open up multiple savings accounts. Now, Shana named them as buckets. Some banks will call them buckets, but that's not the same thing. We actually want you to open up separate savings accounts. So there are banks, we promise there are so many banks out there that are willing to do this. They have no fees, no restrictions, anything. You just have to find the right one. I like to say, look, banks, they work for you. You are hiring them to do a job. So find one that's going to do what you want them to do. And we want you to open up multiple savings accounts. Maybe one is named Christmas. Maybe one is travel. Maybe one is, maternity leave. People have labeled them all whatever they want, and you are funding them. So you figure out, like Shana had talked about before, how much do you need? How much time do you have until that moment? Take that number, divide it by the amount of months that you have, and then you can start saving monthly for that event.
And that also, Katie, guess what? Can be automated. Yes. Sorry, I'm not a good singer, but I just have to sing that part because it's so exciting. Imagine your vacation, your Christmas, your kids' account. They're all growing every paycheck, just whether or not you can afford a lot or a little. So we want you to do the math. We want you to know how much you cost, but you might not immediately be able to do all that. But even we've had clients that just put $25 a paycheck in there and they feel so good. Imagine you log onto your bank app and you're like, oh, look, I got more money and all those things. And you feel like such an adult. Like you feel like so grown up and you're just doing a great job, because what people usually do is they save for something. They know they're supposed to save. So they have a savings account that they rob all the time because it's not really for a purpose. But let me tell you, when it says, this is one of our favorite clients, her daughter was going to have a wedding. And so we were saving for that. And that is not cheap. And I was like, oh, you're not going to steal from that one. I know it because, you would never go in and steal from that savings account. So that's really when you can rename those accounts and you see, I am saving for all of those things. Again, the feeling of that, like being responsible, having this money set aside, knowing that you're not going to have to scramble or be stressed, that alleviates a lot of these reasons that we go binge spending or we rack up credit card debt. You're not going to have that anymore. You're actually going to know that where your money is going. You're going to feel like you're actually doing what you want to do with your money, and it's all going to be happening automatically.
It makes it personable when you rename them. Like it hits you somewhere, like right here, right? For instance, my husband, he had to buy some stuff at Ace Hardware the other day. And I said, just make sure you transfer the money because we have a home repairs account. It saves money every single time he gets paid. That money goes in there. And so whatever he wants to buy at Home Depot and Lowe's and all the things, he can just transfer the money and he has the freedom to spend it because he knows that we've been saving for that specific situation. Now that is small, but big things, big life transitions, it's the same thing. You've been saving for that. So when it comes, you can feel good knowing that money doesn't have to be a stressor. It doesn't have to be an added stress to that.
I absolutely love this. I'm thinking of how my husband tends to look at money. He always tends to get frustrated by I had my cat's right next to me. I had to take him to the vet a couple times. He was sick. That's pretty unusual for our cat history. I'm a cat lady. And he was like, well, how much did it cost? And I'm like, I don't know, like $100, and then it's like, we have the money, but he gets irritated that it's going to that. And so I think if I just did what you said, right? Rename some of these accounts. And it's like, put the bucket, it's intentional, it's purposeful. I really think that one tweak and I'm guilty of this too, would make him and I both like less annoyed when we know these, it's not when, it's not if, it's when. These are going to come, not if, but when, right? And you're right that when we give things a name, is something as simple as a savings account, it does automatically shift something psychologically versus seeing like maybe whatever the amount of money is in there for you, it kind of feels ambiguous, like, okay, great, whatever. But when I see these in my head, like the travel, maternity leave, move, cat vet, whatever, cat care, I'm like, oh, like I get excited. I want to I want to fund them and I want to automate it.
Yeah. And automating it is just the extra like chef's kiss on top.
Yeah,
absolutely. We think there's also going to be buckets, like she said, that are going to make your husband feel good, because when what happens, the reason it's frustrating is, and this is for everybody, it's not just you guys. These are the unexpected expenses that derail all of your plans. They derail your budget. You thought you were doing good. Instead, we're going to put them aside on purpose so that nobody feels derailed. And I thought that you were going to say your bill was way higher, because we just took my dog to the vet and it was way higher. So I'm just really,
I got lucky.
Yeah. But $500 bill at once is ouchies. But if I've been setting aside $50, it's not. And that's where we want to take the roller coaster. Your budget, your money can just be very steady, right? And in a good way. Like you can be setting aside thousands of dollars in savings every month. You can be paying your bills easy, like not even having to think about it. And you can be living, we call it bougie on a budget, Katie. That's why I thought we would be so good at Maximized Minimalist. We're like, we want to be on a budget, but we want to be bougie. And that means something different to everybody. But you can have all of that and have your money just feel very steady. It's not stressful. There's no pop-up expenses because you've already thought about all of those things.
Yeah. Our goal for you is for your budget, your money to do the same thing every single month. And it can be that way. But people, and even entrepreneurs, we've gotten, you attract who you are. A lot of our clients are entrepreneurs, and we have gotten their business budgets to be consistent. We've gotten them to be an entire month ahead in their business and their business finances. So that way they can pay themselves consistently. But that way their home budgets, when their money comes in into that bills account, it all goes to savings, it goes to spending, and then it's magically gone like extra. But it's all labeled purposely in those checking accounts. You know exactly how much you have for gas, groceries, how much I can go spend with a friend for lunch one day, and then how much all of my savings accounts are as far as Christmas and home repair and the pets account. Yes, people, and I want to debunk this really quick because I can already hear like, oh my gosh, that's so many accounts. Sure, we have a couple of accounts. That's fine. But it is way better and way more sense-making for your brain to have multiple accounts and things organized than to have one account that you're trying to do everything out of. And that is why it feels hard. That's why it feels messy. That's why you don't know what's happening with your money. So we've just taken that old like cash envelope system that grandma did, right? And under the money in under the mattress and stuff. And we have given it digital purpose and put it into all the accounts. And that is all you have to worry about. So like Shana, when she showed your phone, when you pull up your bank app, you see everything labeled exactly where it's supposed to be, and you know the purpose of your money.
It's like the difference between having a silverware drawer that just has silverware in it, or you have the organizer of your silverware and all the forks are in the fork spot, all the spoons are in that's all it is we've taken your money that's all, and that's honestly a big part of the stress. You have one account with thousands of transactions. I don't actually know, did all those bills get paid? Do I have enough to go get dinner? Like, and the mortgage is going to get paid. Like, it's just, you probably do, but you don't know, like the not knowing, and it's very cluttered. The one account is very cluttered. We're going to declutter it. Modern finances are way more complicated. You were talking about that with Bree on there. There's more bills, there's more things going on. It's already more digital. Let's just take advantage of the tools that are available to us. Like Vanessa said, each account is like a cash envelope with a label, with a name, and you're putting your cash stuffing. But let's be honest, how many of you want to go in with cash and give them at the gas tank? No, you don't. You don't. We know you don't. We know you don't. So we don't either. So we're going to use debit cards. But to Vanessa's point, you probably had a couple credit cards in your wallet before. So we're just going to help you. We're going to take those out. We're going to break up with those and put some debit cards and start using, and you can label those. You're just going to, like Vanessa said, only have a couple in your account. And you're going to always know the thing that we hear the most is I always know where the money is coming from. If the kid needs new cleats, if, I'm going to the vet for the cat, if I'm going out with girlfriends, I know the money is there. I know where it's coming from. I've already planned for it and it's all good.
Are y'all using any credit cards? Because I can hear the person who's really like, but I want my airline points or my credit card points. Where does that come into play?
So Well, there are
feel strongly about
yeah. So there are a lot of banks out there that have savings accounts, they're high yield savings accounts or money market accounts, where you're making between 3 to 4, sometimes 5, depending on the market, % on your money being in there. So think about a system where your bills are being paid, your spending is being taken care of, and all of your savings is going into the high yield savings accounts where you're making % back every month on your money. Okay. You're going to make more money on that, you're going to make more money in the savings accounts than you're spending on your credit card, getting back 1 or 2 measly % back for your points. Okay. And plus you naturally spend more money when you're using a credit card, and they know that. This is a game that we're never going to win. Okay. They spend more money in marketing than the NFL football league. So that is,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I heard Dave Ramsey say that stat the other day, and I was like, they know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So when you're using your credit card, you're naturally spending more money. It's not a budget. Okay. A credit card balance or credit card limit, that is not a budget. But using the credit cards and then being able to save your money in a high yield savings account where you're making that money back in interest every single month and you're watching it grow, that is the game that we want to play. Okay.
Yeah. We want you to break up with your credit cards. We tell people to be your own bank. So when a lot of times people are using credit cards for the things that we're going to start saving for. The vet bill, because it was unexpected. Christmas, because it just happened to be December 25th again. Oh my gosh, didn't know. Like all of those things, we're going to have you plan for them and set aside money for them so that you don't have to use debt, right? That's the first thing. We want you to be your own bank. You're going to borrow from the bank of Katie when you need to go to the vet, right? And that's
yes,
wonderful.
Girl, do the dance.
And the other thing, honestly, we tell people like, you make too much money to rely on debt. It's just a cycle. You're just in this cycle, but you don't need it, right? It's a tool that you don't need to use, and you don't build wealth on credit cards. That's not how people do it.
Nobody
right?
got rich off of credit cards.
It's just a cycle you've been marketed to. Just understand. I want to relate it to something with, decluttering your house, but I'm like, it would be to me like keeping all of the old clothes just in case, or all this old,
100%.
You don't need, let's just let go. Let's live this more simple way of being your own bank, using your own money, relying on yourself and not playing their game.
One of the things that we've told our clients before is, because they'll say, okay, but can I just keep one? And I'm like, listen, you're an adult. I'm not going to tell you. If you want to keep a credit card, that's fine. However, let's just think about this. When you have more money in the bank than your credit card limit, tell me how that now becomes useful to you.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh. Yeah. So you, like Shana said, you have become your own bank. That is what you can now fund your life. And the reason why most of us go into debt or we use these credit cards is for all those quote unquote unexpected expenses that are coming up. So when you're funding those already in your bank account, then why do you need your credit card?
Okay. Objection squashed. Nothing. I love this.
I feel like we've done this enough times where
I know. This is great. It's just I think it's so empowering, and it's just really cool to hear your perspective and the practicality piece, of course, too. Okay. So for the woman listening who's like, oh man, I want to try that. I want to do this. I want to implement these, those multiple checking accounts. I want to rename stuff. Oh, but there's like my husband or my partner, and maybe there's some money conversations that need to happen. How does one go into that in a way that, creates supportiveness versus stress? Because I've certainly been in those situations in the past where it's just I think money is just kind of stressful, even if you don't quote unquote have a problem. And a lot of it's because how we were raised, how we view money. It's just kind of like our nervous system, whatever. But those conversations can be especially tricky, especially if you've had a history where they didn't particularly go well. So what's your take on that? And I know that's a very big, loaded question.
We get that a lot. We have a lot of people who come in and just never told their spouse or haven't spoken to their spouse about what's going on. Usually there's one person in the relationship that's burdening all of the stress for finances. Sometimes it's both, but it's usually one. And we just really, really want you to put it all on paper. So that is one of the things that we like to say is, look, it's probably just a wrecking ball in your brain. It is worse up here in your head than it is on paper. So we have a beautiful, beautiful budget. Everything, like Shana was explaining before, is on one page for you to be able to easily organize and see where all your money is going. But once you have that on paper and you can see, then you take that to your spouse, you sit down and you go, look, this is where everything is going. This is what we have going on. This is how much we have left. What do you think? And then you stop talking. I'll let you finish.
Yeah, I think that, like Vanessa said, sometimes so what you're saying, and this is what we hear from a lot of people, is we can't bring this topic up without there being friction.
Yeah.
And that bums us out, but we know it's true.
Yeah.
What we want for you is to get into the place. So if you can make it a date night, we want you to get into the place where you're dreaming again. Okay. Like when you got married or whatever, and you had all these big dreams for your life and what you're going to do. The budget is what's going to help you get there. What we're used to doing is not having money and fighting about it. But if we can start as a team thinking about what we want for our future, it's going to give us a why, a reason to actually have this conversation. The other thing is, like Vanessa said, when you bring some of this stuff to your spouse, sometimes you've been sitting with it for a while. Like the situation's not great, or that I have this credit card that I've been slowly racking up or whatever. Yeah. They may need a little bit longer to deal with it because they haven't processed it yet. So just understand that, right? Understand we're going to have this conversation. It might just need a minute before everybody is on board, understands what's happening. But when we are doing that, we're going to talk about what we want. We're going to talk about our money, our goals. When Vanessa says show them, let them make some decisions, let them see what's going on. Maybe they want this savings bucket to be higher, or maybe they don't think this bill is necessary or whatever. Like, it's a us conversation. Mm-hmm. And hopefully it's founded in our goals, our dreams, what we want to do in the future.
What you don't want to do is present it as a parent-child relationship, which sadly is kind of how it ends up, especially if one person is dealing with the finances and the other one is not. You don't mean it to be that way, but it just naturally becomes over time. And so you don't want to tell them, or you don't want them to tell you what you're doing or what we're going to be doing with money. It is an open conversation of, hey, this is what we have. Let's talk about it together. Let's make decisions together. And let's dream again. Let's go back to that place in time where we had this huge vision for our life, and then life got in the way and we forgot our why. Yeah. Like, why are we even doing this? And when you have that, it makes it so much more fun to budget and set these guardrails and set the automation in place. And so you can watch your savings buckets grow.
Well, and just real quick, I know we're going to run out of time, Katie, but I think what Vanessa said in the beginning, seeing it all on one piece of paper, that is what people don't usually do. They have some random budget that maybe has their bills or has something, but you need to see everything. Like, we start with the income for a reason. Like, look at what we're doing. Let's go. Like, we have all of this money we're making together. Yay. Like we need to see everything on the paper at one time. And the thing that I would say, I just posted a picture of when my husband and I make our budgets, we go to the brewery. Okay. And we go to the
budgets and brewery.
And it's all more alliteration. Alliteration is really important to me personally. But and so we make it a thing. And that's really important too. It needs to be something that we've all pre-accepted in our brain that we're going to talk about budgets, because not everybody wants to do that. But if I know ahead of time, it doesn't feel like an attack, right? It's not in passing. We can't be as you're going out the door, hey, don't spend any money because we got none, or whatever. Like, that's not what we're doing. Okay, we're going to have a conversation on purpose. Yeah. You can bring snacks. You can make it a date night, like whatever, just on purpose.
And if you're the nerd and you're the one that always wants to talk about finances and the other one does not, you need to not talk about it all the time. And like Shana said, set that time. Like, hey, babe, Sunday afternoon, we're gonna sit down together. We're gonna have a date night. Bring the snacks, bring the beverages, whatever you want, and have a conversations together at that specific time. Not in text while they're at work dealing with their boss, all that, or all the time. We're not doing that. You need to make sure you bring it and only talk about it at specific times, because you're just going to overwhelm the person who is not the financial nerd.
Oh my gosh, this is such good advice. It got me thinking too, related to kiddos. So you have two 17-year-olds between you, right? That have grown up together. So they're going to be off to college soon, or maybe living on their own. So do the same principles you're talking about, will they also be living with the multiple checking, naming the savings? They're going to be following those same principles. And so that's a question, not a statement. And where do you start with kids, whether they're 10 or 15, you haven't had that conversation around money yet? Where do you begin? Because that's a big life transition for us, right? Is like, this is a life skill we've got to teach them at some point.
Absolutely. And we want you to understand, more than giving them money, more than paying for college, more than anything, if you teach them how to handle money, then that is the best investment you can make in them. The rest will handle itself, right? We have kids, and so we've transitioned to working kids, so that's different. But at that 10-year-old age, I have one of those too. We tell our clients, we used to say cash, but like, they can't even go to a baseball game and pay with cash now, so it's really frustrating. So we do, a lot of times they'll have their own account, or we will have you have a kid's budget in your account, and then the conversation you have with them and say, hey, your budget for the month for everything, whether it's Susie's birthday party or you need new roller skates or whatever, is $50. You're going to have to figure out what you want to spend. And if you spend it all on Monday, on the first day, that's it. And like, but you know, and then you just start to have those conversations. They can start to budget. It takes the guilt off of you. You're turning that over to them to say that I'm excited to help you and let you have some fun things, but this is the limit and you're going to have to start to figure out how to manage it.
People are scared to bring their kids in on the money conversation, and we highly encourage it. There is a way to talk about money. Now, let's think about this for a minute. You probably don't want to talk about money because you have money baggage from when you were a kid or previously when you were younger. There's something there where you don't want to talk about money because you didn't, or it wasn't comfortable. It wasn't a good conversation. It wasn't healthy. So we don't want to transpose that onto our kids. We want that to be different. We want them to be better than us. So bring them in on the conversation, but it has to be healthy. It has to be, it's not, we can't, we're not, we have no money, we can't afford it. We're not, that type of vocabulary is going to stick with them for a long time. They're going to hear that in their head for years to come. But if you can tell them, hey, look, you have $50. What do you want to spend it on? What do you think we should do this month with the money that you get to spend? And it allows them, like Shana said, it takes the guilt off of you. It gives them, puts them in control and allows them to see and make decisions for themselves. It's really important. But to go to your point, as far as when kids are like high school age, yeah, my kid has a couple of different accounts and he has one debit card that is his spending. So with kids, it's a little different where they can manage the one spending account, right? But it is important for them to have an account for bills, and they know that that's where all their bills are going to get paid out of. And then they have an account that's just for them to have fun. And then they have savings so they can see that grow and rename it. You know, my son's original one was vehicle because that's what he wanted to buy a stereo system for his vehicle. So that's what he was saving for, right? And now that that's done, the account is named something different. It is really good for them to be in charge of their own money.
Yeah. And just real quick, the last thing to say is they love having savings and high yield savings accounts. They get to see it make money. Yep. They can put all their birthday money in a savings account, whatever. And it's just a way to bring them in. They do not underestimate your kids. They are ready for things before we naturally think they are. And so it's really cool to bring them in on the conversation. For the budget purposes, you can also automate this. We have had parents when they're younger, they have one kid's account, right? And they'll set a budget each month, $100 for all the kids or whatever. And they're managing it, and they just so that their money doesn't get stolen, right? When the field trips, when the shoes, all the things, they still can go to Starbucks, right? But then as they get older, a lot of times people will make their own accounts per kid, and then they will automate whatever their budget. You get $20 every 2 weeks, whatever. And they put it in there. And then they're talking with the kids, they're having this dialogue, and it's a very healthy. It's not a we can't, it's not a we don't have money, it's no negative. It's all, here's your money. Please choose what you want to do with it. Good job. Congratulations.
I love this. You have so many practical pieces of wisdom in there. I have so many notes on my piece of paper. As we wrap up, I'm curious if you could sit across from a woman who might be listening right now in the middle of a change, who's on the other end of a big change, heading into one. Maybe she's worried about something related to money or finances. What is one piece of encouragement you want to share with her today?
Well, the main thing that we want to say is, for some reason, there's a lot of shame and baggage and heaviness around it. And, you know, you're not bad with money. It's not you. It is literally just as simple as you've just never been shown what to do, right? No one has ever actually shown you how to budget. My daughter was so funny in the car yesterday. She said, well, when am I going to use physics, but I don't know how to do my taxes or whatever? And I was like, listen, don't be cliche. That's what all the kids say every generation, you know, but truly nobody told us how to do our taxes or how to budget. And so please understand, it's not you. You're very successful. You're talented. You're awesome. You're amazing at all these other things. Don't put this weight or shame on you that you should have, could have, would have.
We're supposed to.
So just, that's the main thing. You're wonderful. You're awesome. You're successful at all of these other things. Give yourself some grace to allow yourself a minute, a little season to learn about this and figure this out. And then you're going to be golden. You're going to be as successful with money as you are with everything else.
This is why we have professionals in the world, because they help us with things that we are not good at. And there are many things that I am not gifted in. And finances is one of those things that God literally brought us together to teach people how to help, how to manage, how to cash flow and all that. If this is the one thing that is bothering you, it is okay to reach out, listen to podcasts, find those people that are educated in that and that can help you set up a system, because it's not because you're bad. It's not because you suck or whatever. I mean, we have heard, you name it, we've heard it. People shame themselves about it. It's not any of that. It's just that you were not taught the right way, or you weren't even, nobody even had that conversation with you. You know, when you're 20 years old, it's, hey, you're in college, you have a job, you have all this. Oh, by the way, you're getting married. Oh, now you have to manage two people's income. Good luck. We didn't even learn how to do the one. Yeah. So it's not your fault.
Yeah. And so just, we just want, and the other thing that, you said, hey, simplifiers, we really do want to make it simple. So, we're going to tell you can follow our podcast, but just understand there's a lot of noise out there. I think that's what overwhelms people. So they get paralyzed. They're like, there's so many. Do I do 30, 50, 20? Do I do beans and rice? Like, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what to do. There's so many options, but it doesn't have to be that complicated. It's really just about what you want your money to do. And the reason we have our system is we want, it's not cookie cutter. What you want is what's important. And then we are going to make that happen automatically. That's all there. That's what it is. We want to figure out what you want, what your budget looks like as simply as possible. No fixed and variable terms. Okay. No. None of that grossness. And then we're going to set it up automatically so that you don't even have to worry about it.
So you can be bougie on a budget. Like we alluded to earlier, like that is the goal. We want you to live your best life. And that is different for everyone. It doesn't matter what percentages or what everyone else tells you. When you make your budget and you put it on one paper, you ask yourself, what do I want my money to do for me? Not for my neighbor, not for my best friend, not what I saw on TikTok. That's not important. It is, what do I want my money? How do I want to make it work for me? And you set those limits, you set those guardrails, you set those accounts up so that way you can be successful.
This is so good. As you were speaking, I feel so encouraged and empowered just having this conversation with y'all. And, related to we need to dream again. I was telling my husband the other day, I'm like, I'm kind of heading into this era, like I'm bird watching, and I know a lot of geriatric millennials can relate. Like I walk with a weighted vest now, and I really, for the last year, have wanted to like be a zookeeper. So I'm like, Andrew, can we get a miniature pony? So I'm on ChatGPT, like, what's the budget to take care of a horse? And they need a friend. So, okay, we'd have to do times 2. And I'm like, I want to, like, that is my secret thing I want to like work towards. So I will, mark my words, have a spending or a savings, maybe spending a savings one day, miniature ponies. And I also want river otters. It's not realistic. I know, like, I know you can't domesticate those things, but if you've ever seen those Instagram videos, they have the little rock and they're like, look at my cute rock. And I'm like, I need you in my life.
Yes. My daughter does too.
Hold on. I had a client that went swimming with them. Like that was her birthday. It's in Oklahoma.
I want to do that. Where does she live? Where can I do this?
Yeah. I'm driving home with my daughter the other day and I'm driving. It's dark and she's trying to put her phone in my face while I'm driving going, Mom, look at this otter. And I'm like, no.
I can't look at otter right now. But yes, we expect to hear from you that you have a savings account for your miniature ponies and that's the thing. Like, what is the point of all of this if we're not like putting it toward our dreams?
Yes.
And you don't, life happens. Clutter happens, unfortunately car accidents happen, like things happen and we lose sight of those. So we want to that's why that's step 1 of our method is like, just dream again. What is it that you want out of life? What do you want? Like Vanessa said, your money to do for you.
All right. Can you point my listeners to best place to find you? Of course, share your podcast, which I was listening to right before we hit record, and any other, getting started resources.
Yeah. So our podcast is Financial Coaching for Women. You can find us on any place that has podcasts.
Yep.
And we talk like this. Okay. So it's going to be very real. It's going to be
a lot
of conversation. We truly are best friends. So you're going to get a little bit of that. But we are just trying to simplify it, to make it fun, lighthearted, simple, to get on a budget and stick to it. And we just put a lot of practical stories, a lot of, like you said, real life examples. So you can feel like it's relatable and I can actually do this in my own mind.
Yeah. And we actually have an awesome boot camp coming up at the end of the year. If you go to budgetbesties.com/bootcamp, you'll be able to it's 5 days of training. We walk through every single one of these steps. Every single day is something different, whether it's savings or spending or automation and all that, and really just help you see how it can be, how it can fit into your life and just really set you up on the right track for 2026. Y'all, that's coming.
What did you just say?
I'm still stuck in the 90s. I don't know about anyone here. I'm like, how is this possible?
It's like, I think the 90s was like 10, 20 years ago, and it's really not, you guys. It's really not. I'm like, oh, whoopsies.
It's not. All right, ladies, to bookend this awesome, incredible conversation, Vanessa, you want to answer this question? You want to kick us off or end on this note? And then Shana, what's one thing in your home you would never let go of and why?
Oh, laundry. I said it. I know.
Wait, what? Weird. You would never let go of laundry?
I love laundry. I love doing laundry.
Wow, this is a first. This is a first.
I'm the weirdo. I was just doing it last night.
Okay.
So my parents are coming back from Portugal and I was like doing all their laundry and like, there's something about laundry I just love. It's
Does
like
does it make you feel like, like a nervous system regulation for you?
Yes. Now cooking, I don't like because like you cook and then everyone's eating in 5 minutes and it's done. And it's like, well, that was pointless. Like, I just don't see that. There's no joy in that for me because there's no long lasting effect.
Yeah.
I get it. With the laundry, you like, do you fold, hang? What's your method? What do you do?
Both, but it's
what
like,
feels good to you?
I think it's like pressure washing. Like I love pressure washing.
Oh, I love that too. It's very satisfying.
To the clean, and then you can just like, and it smells so like, I love it. I love, the folding,
it's the whole
all of
experience.
It, the smell.
Good for you. Okay. I love that.
Yeah. I think I when I was listening to Bree, she really, she was like, throw it all in the dumpster. I don't care. And I'm like, that's me. We were military growing up and as an adult. And I just have done that so many times that I don't have anything, but I was thinking maybe like I like my little planner. Okay. It's like my little planner.
I love that for you.
If I had that, then maybe I feel really good. And see, a lot of these are planners from years past. So yeah, that might be it. But other than that, I don't have any one thing. I can't think of any one thing that I would want to save. Sorry, house. I don't even know.
I'm definitely a minimalist as well. It can all go.
Am I disappointing something in my house?
That plant looks awfully sad now. I don't know. It looks like it went down, it kind of flopped a little bit. It's like,
I heard your words. I was offended.
Ladies, it's been so awesome hanging out with you. Thanks for coming on the show and, of course, sharing all your wisdom. You guys rock. I had such a great time.
We are so blessed and honored.
Yes.
Thank you for having us. We were really excited to come and talk to you.
We love talking about the B word budget, right? And so it's been so much fun. Thanks, Katie.
Thanks, ladies.